when I first started stacking, because I haven't been stacking for 3 years. I'm a new stacker. I think anything under 5 years, you're new. And I'm still brand new. I'm learning every single day, man. And I just could not understand, because I have a very logical brain. I think in black and white sometimes, and I shouldn't, but it's just one of my weaknesses. But it's also helped me in one of my strengths. I just couldn't understand why they called constitutional silver or 90% silver junk. I couldn't understand why it was the cheapest one, because logically, when they explained it to me what it was, because again, I know what silver coins were when I was a kid. I didn't know like the difference between, oh, this is silver and this is regular, but I knew what a coin was. I've seen silver coins before, and I've heard people talk about them. I was born in 1975, so they stopped making the last one 11 years before I was born. It wasn't that long before I was born. And when I started learning about it, the first thing I said was, how is this stuff junk? You know, and I started really studying it. And as you can go back to my old videos, because I started my channel probably about 2 months after I started stacking, 1.5 months, 1 3/4 months, something like that, after I started stacking, because I just loved it so much. You can see my constitutional videos. Look what I used to say, and I still say the same thing. And I just did not understand how constitutional silver was junk or cheap. I don't get it. So I said, let me get this straight. They're not making any more of this, right? They go, yeah. They stopped in 1964. I said, they ever going to make it again? They go, no. And I go, this is historic money. It's not numismatic like y'all say. These certain things are numismatic, but this is not numismatic, even though they haven't made this in 60 years almost, 50-something years. That didn't make sense to my logical brain. So guess what I did? I always bought the cheaper stuff. So in the beginning, constitutional silver was cheaper. I was buying at $17 face value. What is it now? Look at the price now. And I'm sure glad I did. I made a trade today, and I have many people calling me for different, you know, trades or whatever. And I try to keep different things. Like if I know a guy likes eagles, I'll try to keep some eagles, even though I don't like eagles. I do like eagles, but if I had a choice between eagles and constitutional, I would take constitutional every day in the week and twice on Sundays. But I try to keep a different array of them because I thought I was going to be into buying and selling, and I am a little bit, but it's not a lot of, the margins are very, very small. You have to be dealing with, in order to be a real coin dealer, you got to have a lot of inventory and then sell it in bulk. And you know, you make your couple $100 or $1,000 or whatever, and then take that investment and do it again. The problem is I'm too attached to silver. I have this thing where, well, what if I buy a bunch of it? I know this is probably not going to happen, but what if I buy a bunch of it, sell a bunch of it, and all of a sudden there's no more silver and I'm gone, and you know, I'm done. I can't do it. That's what I'm afraid of. My silver means more to me than just making a few bucks. I can spend my time making a few bucks other places than doing that. I'm not saying I won't sell or stuff like that. That's not my main focus. But what one of my main focuses is learning more about silver and making trades, right? And I try to keep an array of different things. Anyways, long story short, I know I love constitutional silver because once I do 2 and 3 trades, and then once I end up with constitutional, I don't sell it. I keep it. Like for instance, let's say I got some generic rounds. Let's say I got 100 generic rounds, and then somebody gives me 100 half ounces because they just don't like halves, and we trade. Now I know there's a premium on that, so I'll take those halves, trade them in for some Canadian maple leafs or something. Get the Canadian maple leafs, maybe get ounce for ounce, maybe make a little bit more because people like halves, right? So say I trade those 100 half ounces, or there's 200 of them, but there's 100 ounces, and I trade them in. Let's say I get 102 Canadian maple leafs because he just loves the fractional stuff. Cool, I do that because I'll do that. Then I take the maples, and let's say a guy really wants some eagles and he needs them fast, and he gives me 102 eagles for 102 Canadian maple leafs. You think I'm not going to do that? Of course. I'm actually telling you a real life scenario too. So then I had 102 eagles. I had a guy that really needed some Constitutional. So guess what he did? He offered me some, oh no, excuse me, he needed some Eagles, if I said Constitutional. He needed some Eagles really bad, and he needed them now. And Constitutional Silver is my favorite, and he knows that. So he called me up and go, look, man, I got some 50-cent pieces. He knows Mercury's and 50-cent pieces, and Morgan's. Yeah, I love it, I love it. He says, I got some 50-cent pieces, man. I need some Eagles. I'll trade you ounce for ounce. I said, no. Now, I knew he needed them. I knew he couldn't find them anywhere else. We kept going back and forth, back and forth. Finally, we settled. I gave him 100 Eagles. He gave me 105 ounces of 50-cent pieces. Now, you do the math on that. Now, I'm not saying I got over, because Eagles do have a little bit more premium than Constitutional Silver. But I'm not in it for the short term. I'm in it for the long term. One thing I know, one thing's for sure, and two things are for certain. One for sure is they ain't making any more Constitutional. And two is they're going to make more American Eagles. Yes or no? I like American Eagles, but not for that price. And the only way I got those Eagles is because I traded in for some Canadian Maple Leaf straight up. He needed them, I had them. So now I still got the 2 Eagles, and I got 105 ounces of 50-cent pieces. Now, I'm not telling you that to brag about the deal. I'm telling you that because you, first of all, you can do that too. If you have some silver, make some trades and make some stuff. I never trade for less ounces. The only thing that I would consider to get less ounces for is Constitutional Silver. That's the only one I would consider. If somebody had 100 ounces of, now this is if I didn't have any Constitution, I was really in need of them. And somebody had 100 ounces of Eagles, and it probably can only be Eagles. And they go, look, man, I'm gonna give you 99 ounces of Constitutional Silver. It'd be hard, but I would do it. That's the only one I do it for. And that's how I know Constitutional Silver is the way to go. I'm going to tell you guys this. Everything, the supply and demand curve is really strange, right? The reason why supply and demand is so important is because once the demand of something goes up, the supply is going to go down usually, right? Of something that's of importance. Constitutional Silver, to me, is the most important physical metal in the world and the most important physical money in the world. And the reason why is because it's absolute money. It's written in the Constitution of the United States of America. It's divisible, it's fungible, it's all the things that have money in it, and it has a face value. If you would have told somebody back in 1955 who had a quarter that told them one day that this quarter may be worth $7 one day, you think they'd believe you? Probably not. They'd be like, what do you mean? And then you try to explain to them. They would be like, what are you talking about? You asked Marty McFly and Doc Brown back in 1955 if a quarter would be worth $7. In some places, it's more than that. Face value, I've seen, it's costing 28 to 32 bucks, maybe more, for $1 of Constitutional Silver. And I'm not talking about Morgans and stuff. I'm talking about regular silver. Regular like quarters and dimes and 50-cent pieces. And the reason being is they don't make any more of it. And the way supply demand works is if people hold on to their Constitutional Silver like they have been doing right now, and later on they'll probably let it go. But if you notice more and more lately, people are hanging on to it. It's happening in cycles. Even my little 2.5-year cycles, all it's been doing is going up and up and up. It'll go down, but it'll go up. Their premiums go up because the supply is getting shorter because more and more people are holding it. Also, when you look at those books in the mints, and again, we all know this because we're stackers, and a few of you may not, a lot of that silver has been melted down into just regular silver so they can make bars with it, 1,000-ounce bars, Eagles, and stuff like that. That's why I used to call it junk silver. Back in the days, that's how a lot of these coin shops used to make their money. They used to get a bunch of junk silver in, and instead of selling a little bit at a time here, they'd have a dealer come in, the smelting guy who would come in and smelt and melt it. He'd come in and buy a bunch of them off him, and that's what they did. And they admitted, they go, look, man, back then, I used to do that. They used to do it back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You know what I mean? They're not doing it anymore. So buy the best money around. Best physical money right now is Constitutional Silver. I know it's costing a little bit. You may want to wait or something like that. But if you can find somebody that you can trade ounce for ounce for your Eagles, for your Constitutional Silver, do that every day and twice on Sundays, ladies and gentlemen. Do that in a heartbeat. Because again, Eagles, that's another video. So get you some Constitutional Silver, 90% silver, God's money. Get you some, all right? I love each and every one of you. If you have any questions about that, leave it in the comments, all right? I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love, guys.